This is Mindustry. I am Larafeticus. I have a serious case of PvP brain. Symptoms include aggression, impatience, min-maxing, looking for bugs, glitches, overpowered things, and then using them. So today I'm doing something different. I'm going to take that mindset and do some campaign, and we'll see if anything interesting comes out of that. Uh, First thing, I'm already bored. This whole being forced to mine like 200 beryllium by hand to completely start the game is a waste. There is nothing particularly interesting about this feature whatsoever, and it's just forcing you to do it longer than you need to. Uh, but that feeds into the way the tech tree works, where you have to accumulate some number of resources and then go to a menu with the bad user interface and click on some things. Like the user interface isn't even designed in a proper way. Usually stuff that's grayed out is stuff that you don't have access to, and things that you can interact with are highlighted somehow. But the way that this thing displays it is stuff that you can research is grayed out, and stuff that you can't access has mystery question marks on it. That's not the way that should be put together. So yeah, we're what, 2 minutes in here, and all I've done is put down drills to get beryllium. Fast forward or something, whatever. Most games, when they start out their campaign, they started out with some sort of combat, and there's totally a way to use like world processors or cutscenes or something to like put you down with some units and have an actual fight to start. But it's mystifying that this is how the game chooses to start itself. And also, the way that these map triggers are set up tells you you're forced to only do one thing. There's no speed running this. I'm not trying to do a speed run, although I am just trying to not waste time, do as little waiting around as possible. But I did put the timer on there sort of for useful reference. I'm also not using the pause to play in construction. That's unnecessary and foreign to someone with PvP brain. When there's tutorial maps, I'm just going to skip them. Even though the game tells you absolutely nothing about how to do it, you can totally skip you can get the research from the tutorial maps and then not bother doing it and just move past it. Why are you so loud? Good answer. So most of the time when I'm doing these, I'm just going to build as many unit factories as I can support, and the limiting factor always ends up being the amount of power that's available, which really limits your options to like put more time into building more stuff. There's going to be enough vents here to support like 2 unit factories, and that's it. So you can only progress to the end of the map at the speed of 2 unit factories. And there is still a bunch of research that is locked behind having beryllium, like the walls. So every spare moment that you're not building, you might as well be manually mining a beryllium wall. There are still dumb, weird, unintuitive things going on, like when there is floor beryllium, you cannot manually mine that. That is somehow different from beryllium being on a wall. Yeah, let's make this tank factory. There's nothing dynamic about the maps from game to game. Nothing changes. So in order to not waste as much time. You know, there are advantages to knowing where things are and, you know, what you should attack first and whatever. So instead of playing a map twice and then doing it the right way the second time, I've been opening up the campaign maps in the editor and sort of taking a look and then remembering what I want to do and playing it out. That saves a lot of time, especially in places where the map maker has done obvious decisions where it's like, this is exactly the only thing that makes sense for you to do, and doing it other ways is stupid. You know, like certain a base might end up with 4 or 5 entrances and one of them is obviously the weakest. Things like that. You're playing PvP, you're doing it against another human doing stuff at the time. There's still sort of imagining the mindset of another person as your adversary here. It's the map maker, and the map makers generally don't understand the game as well as an opponent in a PvP game. So you can really point out like the things where they misunderstand something or assume something is powerful or difficult and it's not. Like, here's the main one. Breach turrets are trash. So bad and worthless to the point that if you get any on your spawn, you're better off deconstructing it and using it to make unit factories instead. It costs 5 times as much resources as a tank, but it only does twice as much DPS. It only has twice as much hit points. Yeah, it's just strictly worse. The only thing that it might help you with is if you have a unit cap problem, which even on 15 units or 16 units or whatever that you get from one core, that's almost never actually a problem. But I still have to build one to clear the map triggers. So make the breach, put some ammo in it, and now it's forcing me to build some walls. I don't actually care about the breach. The thing that I want the walls for is protecting the tanks, because the tanks are the things that are actually going to defend, and you can use them to attack later on. So, give me those breach resources left. Give them back. Note that I've also put down some in advance infrastructure because I expect to go to 2 silicon smelters and 2 tank factories once the map opens. Like, yeah, there's arbitrary map fences. There's no reason that I shouldn't be able to just head north right now, and instead there's an invisible fence blocking me, and that'll get used for multiple things. At least have, like, you know, walls that get moved out of the way or something. You can use world processors to add and remove walls. Let's say there's an earthquake or something, whatever. Don't make it just invisible and arbitrary. Alright, so I lost 1 drill, but thanks to the B key thing, which was a new feature since the first time I tried any campaign maps, so it's actually really nice and easy to rebuild stuff. So, preparing to get another drill, and for this, there is no reason whatsoever to just not go straight for the core. Another thing that is sort of bottlenecking on beryllium and other resources is building cores are quite expensive, and there's a lot of slow waiting around while you do it. Don't need these walls anymore. Nothing is going to ever get down here again. I can get more power, and that'll pay for more unit factory, more production. I will do my best to not be poor, despite what the map maker is trying to do to me. This is a preemptive belt because I'm going to be harvesting resources up here and sending them back to the first base, and I'm doing that because it is a higher priority to get the next tank factory built than it is to build the next core. Like, the only thing I'm really getting for that is unit cap increase, and I'm not close to that yet, and I don't even need it to finish off the rest of the base on this map. it is sort of convenient as a place to deposit resources, but since I already have that belt going down there, I might as well just use that. I'll get all these nice additional mineral slots, and especially the vents. The vents are what's paying for additional unit factories. No, yeah. But even then, again, there is a map trigger that you can't do anything until you build the core. I suppose really this is more of a tutorial map than anything else, but I should be getting options to skip past tutorial things universally, and it should be communicated clearly instead of just sort of being a thing that's possible if you're sneaky and impatient. Oh, this thing is interminable to build. Ugh. I mix belts. I don't care. As long as you're not filling it up to capacity, which is like 15 things per second, then it's just a lot more convenient to put one router or overflow or whatever, and then your multiple input unit factory next to it, and you're done. Like, you know, there's core, incinerate, or whatever, so you don't have to worry about things getting jammed that way. Like if something would jam, it just goes the other way through the router and proceeds onto the core, and you're fine. Mixed belts are great and fine. People shouldn't be so like about it. I do want more silicon though. That's gotta go into research and whatever. See, as designed with paying amounts of resources to get research, it is, you know, sort of immersion breaking, and it encourages dumb behaviors. Well, not dumb, but suboptimal. Like, you could build one silicon factory, and if you're willing to just sit there and wait for a long, long time, that can be used to unlock any research whatsoever, regardless of how high the silicon cost is. And so, you know, someone going through the default might think, okay, what I'm supposed to do is build one factory and then wait a long time. And then they wait a long time and they get bored and like, I feel bad. I don't know why, I'm bored. Instead, researches should be locked behind rates of production. So, you know, if you go for a minute producing 4 silicon per second, or 100, well, let's see, yeah, 240 silicon per minute, or, you know, however else, then it should be like research should unlock like achievements unlock. Like, you did this thing for this amount of time, and then you get access to whatever it unlocked. And by tying it to rates, then you properly encourage people to increase their production the way that they should be, instead of sitting there waiting around bored. You know, you do the work to build more factory, and then 1 minute after doing that, you get the reward, instead of, you know, doing a tiny little bit of work and then waiting for 20 minutes or whatever. All right, here's breaches being garbage. They don't even have much ammo coming into them, but I can just drive by them and go straight to the core. These tank factories aren't producing. There, poof. It's all gone. We're dead. Well, we're not dead. They're dead. And that was it. That's the whole first map. With that taken, I don't need any more units, so I slightly deconstruct the tank factories to turn them off, and that'll give me more silicon and beryllium to do the other stuff. we're gonna, you build additional bastions, and that'll give you a little bit more storage capacity, which is only really gonna matter for the first few maps. Like, it helps you build up for research payments, or at least store up for future opening available research, whatever. Yeah, deconstruct all this stuff, becomes my resources, and I'll be able to add some more production in the enemy-based stuff, again, for research purposes. But other than that, not a whole lot more is going to go on. Just grunt work. Maybe things will get more interesting in later on maps. Maybe though other cheeses will become, no, other cheeses are coming. I know for a fact that locusts are overpowered, so as soon as I get those, I'm just gonna do everything with locusts, and it's gonna make all the content trivial, I'm sure. Probably something similar with Anthicus, and then when Quell opens up. I'm gonna continue to disrespect turrets every chance I get. Almost never building my own, probably. Maybe when I get afflicts or something like that. Maybe? In general, it seems to just always be optimal to build units instead, and then, put them behind walls. I'm gonna do a fair amount of blocking off choke points completely so that I can prevent, eludes or tanks or whatever from just going past stuff. That'll get a little bit tougher when air units or mechs are attacking, but, well, air units will be tougher. Mechs, you just make sure that you have unit defense in depth to not worry about it. A big part of future things is going to be targeting air factories first and on purpose to prevent those attacks from coming at me, and then I don't have to worry about, air attacks at all. I think my cap is probably 2,000 for Bastion, so maybe halfway towards accumulating all the resources I should have to make the purchases instantaneous. Yeah, I'm about done here. I think it's gonna go to the next map. So, that's something different that I'm trying out. We'll see if any of this keeps getting interesting.